Thank you all for joining me here today. My name is Crystal Hutcheson, and this presentation is being completed in partial fulfillment of HRD 5307 at the University of Texas at Tyler. We will be looking at the evaluation of the volunteer training program for CASA of Grayson County. CASA of Grayson County is a nonprofit organization that provides court-appointed, trained volunteers to investigate, monitor, and serve as advocates in court to help abused and neglected children secure permanent placement. The specific program we're looking at is the new volunteer training program. As part of Texas CASA, each new volunteer must have a mandatory 30 hours of training. Texas CASA leaves it up to each individual CASA to determine how those hours are spent, as long as the material in the curriculum is covered. CASA of Grayson County has recently hired a new recruiter and trainer to revamp their current training program. Ms. Jameson is this new trainer volunteer recruiter, and she has decided to divide up the 30 hours between instructor-led training and self-instructed training. The new program will have instructor-led training for 2 nights a week for 3 consecutive weeks. Each night will be 3.5 hours. Now, the rest of the hours will be 9 hours of self-instructed learning. When looking at this program, we're going to be evaluating it looking at 2 different questions. The first question is if self-instructed learning effective for mastering content. The second question is, have the learners mastered the content at an acceptable level in order to perform day-to-day functions? In order to answer these questions, we have used several different data collection methods. The first method was a content-based examination. This exam was 15 questions, true or false, that was based upon the curriculum, with at least 1 question per chapter of the course material. The examination was given to the volunteers both before training and then again after training, with the hope being that the scores would improve post-training. After training was completed, the volunteers were also given surveys and a focus group was held. An interview was also held with Mrs. Jameson in order to determine if she believed the volunteers were ready to become CASA volunteers. The results of the content-based test showed that the scores did improve from free training to post-training. However, the scores were extremely high to begin with. This is believed to be because the trainees either had a prior knowledge of the information based upon work experience or other educational experience. As for the surveys, it included questions such as, how do you rate your knowledge of the content that was self-taught versus classroom discussion or lectures? The second survey question was, regarding the knowledge it takes to be a CASA volunteer, how much knowledge did the training provide? And the third survey question was, if you do not feel adequately prepared, can you explain why? The results of the survey showed overwhelmingly that the respondents felt adequate knowledge of the self-instructed content. The respondents also indicated substantial expertise in regards to how much knowledge the training provided. All respondents also indicated to feeling prepared to accept their first volunteer case. When the focus group was held, the first questions asked the volunteers if they believed that the training was a positive or negative experience overall. All respondents responded positively regarding the overall training. In fact, one trainee even responded that it was the best training that she had ever been a part of. She said that she had been volunteering for over 20 years for multiple organizations, and this was the first training that she felt did not waste any of her time. When asked upon reflecting on the self-instructed learning, each of the respondents stated that it was very effective. They believed that having that self-instructed learning gave them time to learn at their own pace and be able to focus on the information that they felt was the most important. All the respondents also indicated that they felt prepared to begin volunteering. In regards to the interview with Ms. Jameson, she also felt that each of the trainees were prepared to become volunteers. Just to review the results, in regards to the content-based examination, it was inconclusive in determining training effectiveness. As for the surveys, it was determined that self-instructed learning was effective for mastering content, and the focus groups and interviews showed that trainees had mastered the content to an acceptable level to perform the day-to-day duties as a CASA volunteer. Recommendations for CASA include that CASA should continue the training program, dividing time between instructor-led and self-instructed training. The surveys and the focus groups showed that that was a benefit for the volunteers. It is also recommended that after the trainees have been performing day-to-day activities for at least 6 months, that surveys and interviews should be conducted from their supervisors to determine how prepared they were for those day-to-day activities. Having a time gap of at least 6 months will allow the volunteers to fall into a rhythm and be able to just determine how effective they are. If you have any questions, please feel free to contact me at khutcheson@patriots.uttyler.edu. I greatly appreciate your time today. Thank you.